Attention, please.
And now, it's Cutter's Rockcast.
Dude, thank you so much for taking a couple minutes, man, to do this. I appreciate it. I know we had this scheduled last week, and let me just say I'll probably never, ever use the world of Skype ever again.
I had big problems with it, too. I mean, suddenly my account was not there, and everything it was a mess.
Yeah, I had the exact same issue. I had to go back with somebody who works for your management company, and her and I were sitting there back and forth, I swear, for like half an hour trying to make sure we're logged in. Oh, now I got to re-log in. Now I got to do this CAPTCHA. Now I got to do this CAPTCHA again. Anyway, never mind. I'm glad we were able to make this work. So, Kaspar...
Good old school phone is trustworthy.
Exactly. That is the one thing, right? As old school as it is, even though it's a cell phone here, but it is always there, and it will never leave you, at least for the most part, as long as you can get reception. You're in Denmark right now, right? You guys are hanging tight there?
Yeah. I'm home.
Good. You're isolated at home. How is that? As a creative person, how has it been for you to be sitting at home with not a whole lot of places to go?
Well, fortunately, we are opening up a little bit.
Oh, good.
Here in Denmark. So actually, my kids are in kindergarten and daycare, and my wife just started work again. So I am able to be a little bit creative, but I mean, we were supposed to be on tour in the U.S. right now.
Mm-hmm.
That's not happening. I'm really bummed out about that. But we are actually writing new music right now.
Excellent.
I mean, that's what we can do.
Yeah. Well, that's
the
just
only thing we can do right now.
Exactly. I said this to somebody else in a previous interview, but I'm like, the end of the year, 2021 is going to see a lot of random new releases from bands that we didn't expect, I think.
Oh, yeah. I mean, every band out there is writing music right now.
Mm-hmm.
So there will be tons of breakups next year.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe even in the later part of this year. I don't know.
Well, it's not like not only are you stuck at home with nothing else to do, but it's not like there's a lack of inspiration right now.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there really is all the anxiety and the fear of the future and all that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the next Volbeat album will be quite different from the previous 2 or 3 records. I mean, it's very up-tempo and very, a little bit more aggressive.
Okay.
So, yeah, we are having a lot of inspiration right now from the world.
No doubt. Correct me if I'm wrong, Kaspar. You had started out in the death metal world. Am I right?
Yeah. I started out. Yeah.
Go ahead.
I started out in the mid-90s. I was playing in a melodic death metal band called Withering Surface, and that's actually where I met Michael. He was in a death metal band called Dominus in the same area where I live.
That area is such a good scene for that kind of music, man. It really is. One of my favorite bands, obviously, from the Northern European world.
Yeah.
To go okay, Volbeat is obviously not that, and Volbeat has been able to solidify themselves as really one of the world's best rock bands, and I don't think I'm exaggerating when I say that. But it is rock and roll. There's a rockabilly element to it. There's a classic rock element to it. There's obviously still some metal elements to it. Was it a weird transformation to, obviously you joined what, 2016 if I'm remembering right?
Yeah, that was, yeah.
Was it a bit? Go ahead.
I've been on the side of the band since the formation. Actually, I joined the band for a brief moment in 2006 when I was doing a European tour with them, just for like a stand-in. So I was there for the some of the very first shows, and it was different. I mean, I remember when I heard the first demo, the first time I thought, what the fuck is that? I mean, that's not kind of, it was metal, but it was not really, it was different, but it was cool.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everybody kind of liked it. So, and I knew that Michael has been listening to all kinds of music all the time. I mean, not just death metal.
Right.
But also rockabilly and punk rock and, all kinds of music, and still do.
Well, it seems obvious now. I mean, right? The influences of all that are within every album of Volbeat, as you continue to go. Was it a weird transformation, though, for you personally, as a bass player, to go from playing, melodic death metal or hardcore or whatever to the more rock and roll style?
And that was a big difference. I mean, I was used to play riff-based, just basically just follow the guitar lines. And then suddenly we were doing kind of these big choruses just with just 3 or 4 chords. And you have to do something interesting with that.
Mm-hmm.
But luckily for me, we have Rob in the band, and he was in the beginning. Really, we were working on the bass lines for the new album, for the Rewind album.
Right.
And he was really really good to work with me. So I kind of got into what would be cool to play here, not just follow the riff, but do a little lick there and do some melodic bass lines. So that was great having him in the band, because we were working with demos for most of the songs.
Mm-hmm.
We did that in his hotel room, actually. So that was a smooth transition, I think.
Rob has such an incredible ear. Obviously, I mean, I've known that guy for a very long time, from producer work to his work in Anthrax, and obviously now to Volbeat. Having a guy like that within the band, especially for the songwriting process, now that you were involved for the first time on this record, what's that like for you? How much of a help is that, having that kind of ear in your band, not just sitting behind the console?
That's a tremendous help. I mean, and the sound wouldn't be the same without Rob. That's for sure. I mean, he adds all those harmonies, and then he comes up with some of the major riffs. And well, for me, I've learned a lot since I joined the band. I mean, it's late for me to be learning a lot of new stuff, but that was definitely a game changer for me. Of course, it was touring and all that, but music-wise, it was a big difference for me to get to know Rob.
How much?
Because he's yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I know there's a little bit of delay. Obviously, cross-Atlantic phone calls. I was just gonna say, for Rewind, Replay, Rebound specifically, being that this was your first album playing bass on it, how involved were you personally within the songwriting process?
Well, usually it is like Michael is coming up with a few riffs or maybe a whole song, and then we work on it, all 4 of us, in the rehearsing room. I mean, putting it all together and maybe some of the arrangements and, coming up with ideas, and everybody is listening to everybody. So, but basically, I mean, the raw skeleton of the song is mostly done when Michael comes to the rehearsing room with a new song.
Given how quickly Volbeat tends to release albums, is he the kind of guy who's got a riff every day, Like he just strikes me as the kind of guy who's like, oh yeah, here's another riff, here's another riff, here's another riff.
When we are in the process of writing a new album, I mean, he is very on fire. I mean, right now, for instance, he is on fire, and he's coming up with riffs like, I mean, it's crazy. But when we're done with the recording of an album, he's not writing anything.
Okay.
I mean, we can do a little bit backstage or maybe during a sound check or something, but it's, when it's like a different mood he's going into, and then a lot of stuff is coming out. I mean, right now it's crazy.
Well, like we said at the beginning, there's no lack of inspiration in the world for songwriting right now. I don't think there's any doubt about that.
No.
You mentioned the tour that you were supposed to be on earlier. Right now, I got to tell you, man, last week was going to be such a great week for live music for me personally, because there was going to be a Volbeat Clutch Picture Book show. There was going to be a Foo Fighters show. My own band had a gig. That was all on the same weekend. And obviously, we're all stuck at home in our basements now. At least that's where I am. That tour of Volbeat Clutch Picture Books seemed like such the perfect lineup. And for anybody who's listening who doesn't know the band The Picture Books, I'm a motorcycler, so I came across this band quite a few years ago. These two guys, and I was looking. I've never seen them, so to be able to see them with Volbeat and Clutch, who are my all-time favorite band, I was in seventh heaven, man. And then obviously for that not to happen stinks. Are there plans to take that package and try to rebook it for next year?
There was actually talk about rescheduling the whole tour for the fall.
Okay.
But I don't think those plans are not around anymore, because we don't know when we are able to fly to the U.S.
Right.
We don't know what the situation will be. But I count on that it will be going on next year.
Okay.
But I can't be 100% because everything is so uncertain right now. So nobody knows what's going on. But the plan is to do it the exact same tour next year.
The in limbo process of this entire thing is enough to drive you insane. I mean, it is for us. I can only imagine what it's like for you guys. Not to know if you can go tour, not to know if you can go play a show and when and how many people are going to allowed to be there, and
anything.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
We had such a great season lined up. I mean, great festivals here in Europe and a tour in the US and some nice stuff going on, and then suddenly nothing. I mean,
well, even to think about, I mean, we're in
Denmark for the whole year.
We're in May now. I mean, even to think about the fact that the festivals in the United States in May that always happen aren't happening. The festivals, then you get into the festival season in Europe. None of those are happening. The festivals in the fall are all up in limbo. A couple of them have already been canceled. Our own festival, right now we're on a schedule, and that's Rock USA, which you guys have played, but, who knows if that's going to happen or not. It's so crazy to think about the fact that tours are one thing, but those institutions that have been built over years and years, decades even in a lot of situations, just flat out are gone. They're not happening, and it's insane. It's just such a weird thing to think about.
The economic situation for all those festivals, I don't know what that means. I mean, hopefully they have some sort of insurance so they can...
Right.
I mean, so they can go on next year. And I know some festivals here in Denmark, they were sold out in advance, but they offered the opportunity for the ticket holders to keep the ticket for next year, because that would be a tremendous help for the festival. So they didn't have to pay all those tickets back.
Right.
And a lot of people have kept on to their tickets so they can use them next year. That's a big financial help for the festivals. I don't know if festivals in the US are doing, the same thing.
Yeah, there's been a few different options. I know Danny Wimmer Presents has had a couple of different things. Obviously now, though, they only have one festival left on the books, and I don't even know if that's going to happen at this point. So
When is that?
that's the one in October in California.
October.
That's Aftershock, Metallica, and My Chemical Romance are the two headliners. Which is, and that's just like this year of all years, man. Metallica is supposed to play all these festivals in the United States and headline all of them exclusively, and then they all get canceled. Damn it! Obviously, you guys have spent some time with Metallica. We were supposed
to play with Metallica a few times this year.
Yeah.
Not gonna happen.
Nope.
But I mean, we just have to look forward and hope for the best, because I mean, this year is done.
Mm-hmm. Yep, so exactly.
Just gonna
stay inside, stay home, do what you got to do, get healthy, and make sure this pandemic goes away and never comes back. And that's really
exactly.
It's at this point that's what we got to do.
For a vaccine, that's what I think gonna help us all.
Right. Well, in our world especially, Kaspar, I think in the world of concerts, in music and live music, if you don't have, I don't see how it can realistically happen without a vaccine. Testing is one thing, but without a vaccine, how are you going to put 15,000 people in an arena packed in?
Exactly.
When there's a good chance 100 of them are going to go home and be sick.
Everybody would be scared to be among so many people.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, we need it, and we need it right now.
Yep.
But I know that, I mean, scientists all over the world, they are kind of close to a vaccine.
Sounds like it.
I'm kind of...
Fingers crossed, man.
That it will happen.
Exactly. Fingers crossed. Well, I'm glad to hear you guys are doing good, and that you guys are working on some new music, and I'm glad, obviously, your family seems to be doing okay. It looks like we in the States have a little bit more time of enclosure before we're going to be able to open up a bunch of things, but it sounds good like that Denmark is doing that.
It came later to the U.S. than here in Europe. So.
Mm-hmm. Yep, exactly.
It did, so, yeah.
The country of Denmark is a funny one for my world personally, and I'm going to say this before I let you go, because so I'm in Wisconsin. In Wisconsin, we always joke around, you could take a whole tour of Europe in the state of Wisconsin if you just imagine they're all small towns instead of countries. So I actually grew up in a town of 1,200 people, farming community called Denmark.
Really?
Yes, with a sign in at the front of the town, like basically you get off the interstate, right, and then there's the town, and there's a sign that says "Welcome to Denmark," which is really funny. Apparently, there was a big Danish settlement here at some point.
Okay.
So just seeing the word Denmark is still like okay. Well, let me relive my roots here for a second before I realize we're talking about the country, not the town.
Yeah.
Anyway,
well, you can definitely hear on my accent that I'm not from the U.S.
No, exactly. All right, man. I truly appreciate you taking a few minutes of time to chat about music and to chat about the world, and of course the latest record, Rewind, Replay, Rebound. The latest single, by the way, is Leviathan. There is an official bootleg video out for that now. Go check it out. It's very, very cool. I know this was one of the first tracks released publicly from the album, but it is a cool song, and I'm glad you guys decided to release it to radio so that we get a chance to play it too.
Really, really glad you like it. I mean, it's one of my favorites of the album. I'm really into that Thin Lizzy kind of vibe.
Yeah.
You know, and the main riff. Actually, Rock came up with that.
Okay. It's cool. That's a cool riff, though. It really is. It's a cool song.
Yeah, it is. Well, thank you.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome. Kaspar from Volbeat. Seriously, thank you.
No, thank you. It's very nice talking to people. I mean, I haven't talked to a lot of people in a long time, so you're welcome.
Absolutely.
Cutter's Rockcast.
Don't forget to tune in. Exactly.